Hey guys, I want to talk to you about chapter 1 of The Great Gatsby. So reading The Great Gatsby is tough because the book is so beautifully written, but the sentences can be very long and wordy, and it's from the 1920s. So it's an old book, sometimes makes old references that you don't understand, and there's just kind of a lot going on. So I'm going to make these videos for each chapter to kind of break it down for you. If you feel you just want to clarify or make sure you got it right, feel free to follow along with me. It's the best I can do given the circumstances. I'm also going to open up some Q&A if you guys want to ask me some specific questions, and then I can respond to you about those questions. So looking at chapter 1. Chapter 1 is really just about setting the scene. So we understand where we are, we understand who we're dealing with. So the first character we meet is our narrator, Nick Carraway. Nick Carraway is the one telling us the story, and he's also inside the story. So he's our narrator. He's in his late 20s. He actually turns 30 in this book. He comes from money, but I wouldn't say that he's incredibly wealthy. He just had more opportunities than others, and that's what he talks about in the first chapter. But he's not, Gatsby rich or even Buchanan rich. He does well. He moved to New York from Minnesota, so he's kind of looking to reinvent himself. He's a Yale grad. He was a World War I serviceman, and he intends to become a bond salesman. So that's how Nick Carraway from Minnesota ends up in New York City. There's 2 eggs. I want to be clear. These are not eggs. Like, there's not an egg. It's just 2 egg-shaped kind of masses of land. And they are very different. So they're both rich, let's be clear. But West Egg is new rich. People who just made these sudden fortunes, who haven't had money forever. They're a little bit more extravagant with their wealth and what they're doing with it. That's where Nick lives. Nick kind of somehow found this really great, cheap apartment that's on the West Egg side. It's also where Gatsby lives, so his giant mansion is in West Egg. East Egg is old money, which is like family money, so people who have always come from and always had money. But they look down upon East Egg, like, oh, peasants, like even though they're rich, because they're new rich and they haven't been rich forever. And this is where the Buchanans live. So we meet Daisy Buchanan. I'm not sure how you feel about her yet, but I cannot stand her character. I hope by the end of the book you agree with me. She is Nick's cousin, and she's a self-described sophisticate. She says, "I'm so sophisticated," and you're like, oh my God. She's wealthy by marriage, and she says the best thing a girl can be is a beautiful little fool. She's the mother of a little girl, so not great. She's married to Tom Buchanan, and they live in East Egg. Tom is a former football player, also a Yale grad, married to Daisy. He comes from a very wealthy, successful, old money family. But if you've not noticed yet, even just in the first bit, we see that he's racist. He talks about being a white supremacist and recommends this white supremacy book to everyone. Sexist. Par for the course for the time, but still I think he takes it a step beyond that. Violent and arrogant and condescending, and that's probably partially the money, partially his personality. Apparently he's been like that since Nick first knew him. Then we meet Jordan Baker. Jordan is a beautiful young pro golfer who's kind of always bored with what's going on around her. So when we see the first shot kind of Daisy and Jordan, they're like sitting with all these white drapes like flowing around them. White stands for purity. And they're just like, oh, I'm so bored and I'm sophisticated. And you're like, y'all, can you not? So that's Jordan, and we meet her when we meet Daisy. There's a dinner, they're eating, and an affair pops up, this idea, because a phone call comes in and Tom leaves the table to take it. And Daisy follows right after him. And Jordan basically says, oh, you don't know? Like, everybody knows that, Tom has another woman. And it's just considered common knowledge. And of course, that's really humiliating for Daisy. When they all go to leave that night, Daisy suggests that Nick and Jordan strike up a relationship, so she's kind of trying to play matchmaker between the two, even though we haven't really seen any sparks flying between them. Then we kind of get our first glimpse of our main mystery man, Jay Gatsby. Nick sees Jay Gatsby on his lawn, because remember, Nick's place is right near Gatsby's mansion. So he sees Jay Gatsby kind of looking out across the water, and he wants to go say something, but he kind of stops because he sees Gatsby reaching out across the water. And I think he's like, oh, I don't want to interrupt whatever's happening right now. So all Nick can see at the other end is that green light, which is at the end of a dock. And the green light will end up becoming a symbol. But as of now, it's just a light. And Nick is kind of experiencing Gatsby and his mystery for the first time. So chapter 1 is really about establishing who, what, where. And then we'll move into kind of the action from here.